Tēnā koutou katoa, good evening, welcome into the breakdown. Well, the All Blacks end of year tour is almost upon us. So how many tests do they win with that gruelling schedule? 5 from 5? We'll ask these guys a little bit later on. Plus we have Springboks assistant coach Tony Brown joining us on the program to spill the beans, or we try to get him to spill the beans anyway. And the NPC finalists have been found, and here's a hot tip. Mine and JK's team has made the final. Good evening, gents.
What did you just say?
Jeff Wilson, Mills Molina and Sir John Kerwin. I'm glad you pay your rates. You must be so proud of Bay of Plenty.
Of course I am. How good was that? Mills?
Hey,
well, you're paying rates down there too.
Here, mate. He doesn't pay his rates, so how can it be? He does not pay his rates.
I'll tell you what, I had a phone call during the week from someone in Bay of Plenty and they said, oh, we watched the show the other day and we're glad JK's on board.
Totally. If I had a choice, now can you have a choice? The Bay would be a great place to live and play. Yeah. How good would it be? If you're a professional, surf.
They should never have any problems recruiting, should they?
Well, we need an international airport down there.
That's the only problem.
That was it. They literally surf. I don't surf.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I know.
Really?
We're going to talk about the NPC a little bit later on, but for now, the All Blacks Northern Tour is just a week away, a 5-match schedule, and we know it is going to be tough. It starts with Japan in Tokyo before England a week later. 6 days after that, it is Ireland and then France and Italy. So it is not going to be easy. If you look at these 5 test matches, what is going to be the hardest test for you, Jeff? Do they win them all?
I'm going to go. They're going to be difficult. There's a number of challenges, but I've actually got France for the circumstances around England and Ireland. I'm actually feeling a lot more confident about where we're at right now. I like, yes, we've lost a few players, but ultimately I've got a sense we're heading in the right direction, and I've got a feeling we're going to hit England and Ireland, who wouldn't have played any rugby, so I think it's going to be successful. And that's assuming, though, France is at full strength. But I'll tell you what, I'm excited because I've got a balance into mine, and my numbers add up. But I know one of ours on the panel, his numbers don't add up.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I'll
tell you why, because I was enjoying the Cleveland markets, having a nice crepe, thinking about France with my boys, and then I get a heavy-hitted sort of WhatsApp chat saying, how many games are we actually going to win? And I almost spat it out, and that's why I got thrown off a little bit.
You did it that way.
No,
you finished it.
I loved it, actually.
Was it in italic, right?
So let me just ask you this, gentlemen. So I heard that some of the All Blacks were going to go to England early. So a few years ago they'd sent them from New Zealand there, but I've seen the whole team in Japan. Because as part of my pick's concerned, so these guys, when are they just going with the team and not playing in Japan?
Not just the whole team, the whole squad, 36, minus those 3 that are injured, plus an extra 8 others from the All Blacks 15. So this is a huge squad at the moment in Japan.
Yeah, but who's going to England and when are they going?
We don't know, because we don't get that sort of information right now, because it's one of those things where I'm sure they're looking at their squad and trying to get the balance of it, but they'll have an idea who they want to play in this test match, right, against Japan. But I don't think you can take this for granted. No. That's an important part about it. Japan have been a challenge in the past. Last time we were up there, it took everything for the All Blacks to get across the line. So nothing's a given on this tour. Even Italy have shown some signs.
What do you mean even Italy? You're
well, they weren't last in the Six Nations.
You come around my house, you'll be a dead man, I'm telling you. Like, you're giving Japan a chance and you're not giving Italy a chance.
No, I just said that you have. They weren't bottom of the Six Nations this year, but showed some good signs.
For me, Japan and Italy, you've got to play the guys that don't play week in, week out, and they've got to be good enough. If we play a team against Japan and they don't perform and do well, then it's massive for them. And you don't play your top side against Italy, but they have got to perform and play well, because they're both very good sides. I get that.
How many teams on tests on the end of your tour do the All Blacks win for you, JK?
I think they lose in Ireland, and there's a couple of things going on. For me, I was looking a bit like Mills. I want them to win them all, but I just think Ireland from an emotional point of view, right? I think from an emotional point of view, the 2 things they do have against them is it's their first game and their coach isn't there anymore. He's with the Lions, right? But I just think emotionally, they were so upset after the World Cup semi-final. I think that's a big one for us. We owe France. They beat us in the World Cup. So that's why I've chosen that if we're going to lose one, it's Ireland.
5 for 5, Mills.
Yeah.
So at the start of the season, you guessed how many?
I said I'd be happy if we only won 9.
So, and we've won 6 to date, so now we're going to win 11. So we're clearly, for you, heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I think if they do this, they'll exceed my expectations. And I think there's a couple of reasons why, OK? This next group, Japan, yeah, you don't take them lightly. You know, there'll be a bulk of that group that will play. You know, your leader, obviously, this is 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But I think this is probably our, best prepared All Blacks India tour side that I've seen in a long, long time. Given what they've gone through, the hurt that they've gone through, there's a roadblock there for even the coaching staff. They've had to sort of pivot in some way with a new coach. But now they've got to go there and win 3 big ones in a row. And Japan, yes, I think there's be a core group of guys that will play. I think, you know, the likes of Barrett, Savia, McKenzie will sort of play. Then you've seen a couple of others, you know, to really start preparing. But for me, really, I think there's an element also that you will catch the Irish off guard. This is you got to remember that they're different seasons. So when we come into this,
ignore them.
Yeah, I am. When we come into the India tour, we might just catch them off guard. You know, and I think Razor will love the fact he's got a group of guys together in this next 5 or 6 or so weeks that he can build and I think it's more mental, the mental side of it, and really enhance that. So I think we can go there and really win these. And it's a different mindset. Had he won during the year,
I can't wait any longer. I've got a question for you.
Just one thing. Had he won during the year against South Africa, he would have sort of rotated around. I don't think.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. So, if you're going to win every game, you are going to play your top test side all the time. So what does that mean for Japan? Does that mean we're playing Kane, we're playing Barrett, we're playing Savia? Because if you want to win all those games, they need a game they haven't played for a month. Or do you go, let's play the backup boys and then go with England, Ireland, France, but they're playing week after. So whatever happened to that rotation, we've got to rest guys. It's the end of the year, everyone's going to be tired. If we're not careful, they won't be ready.
I think
Is that gone?
I think your spine's there against Japan. You know, you don't necessarily... Lomax might not play. You know, Cody Taylor might come off the bench. You would have Moore against Japan. Man, you'd love it being out there. But you have your Barretts, you know, Paddy Tuipulotu's coming back. I mean, come on. And then, you know, Ardie Savia, who do you put at halfback? I mean, there's enough there for them to go, let's get these guys some game time, who are then going to transition to the first game against England, and then we push bang, 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 3.
So you don't think that fatigue is part of the Northern Tour anymore?
No, I don't.
Well, I've just had a month
off.
You
play the same team.
I'd play our best team. Those 3 big ones in a row.
Yeah.
You know, albeit, you know, injuries or someone, you know, they've just had 5 weeks off.
There'll be a subtle rotation, I think, of some players, but I think ultimately, you talked about the spine, it'll still be a really strong team that plays Japan, like it was against Fiji. There'll be full respect, understanding, but also there are some guys who can develop and get better. The likes of Tossi could start. Moore could start again.
Got to start.
Bell gets their opportunities. But ultimately, there'll be some players who have got plenty of opportunity and got plenty of experience. Patrick Tuipulotu could do with some game time. But for me, I look at it and I've gone through and said, we get England and they wouldn't have played a game. Did we then get Ireland? Even though it's 6 days later, they haven't played a game either. I think we go and support yours. But then I think we get to France and it will be a challenge. The third one of those big 3. And France... I think with Dupont, which we're assuming he's going
distracted.
to be... He may be distracted, but ultimately he's still probably one of the best in the world.
No, he is the best
And
in the world.
France have had our number.
Yeah.
They've got our number, and we've got to find a way to get past that.
I'm factoring in that by the time we get to France, we'll be that much
firing.
cohesive that we're firing on all 4 cylinders.
Yeah,
and that's why I think it's set up really nicely. I think the tour is actually set up really nicely for the All Blacks, and hence the reason why I think we're the best prepared sort of, you know, Northern Hemisphere side that we've had for a very long time.
Well, you're the only person I know that can ignore JK when he's literally jumping out of his chair, trying to get in.
It's because we have well, I pay my rates. I probably pay his rates as well, the way he beats, right? So, you know, he understands that.
Just quickly, on the All Blacks end of year tour, 3 injuries to their loosies right now. No Blackadder, no Papali'i and no Jacobson. For now. They will all be reassessed before that England test.
And no Hoskins.
Well, he wasn't in the original 36,
I know, but
he is out
got
injured.
a phone call and he's injured. That's an important point if you're a Maris man.
What's an important point is that we've actually lost some versatility because all of those players have the ability to play multiple positions. They can play both 6 and 7, and obviously an element of 8. And Jacobson has been a preferred option off the bench. So they've got some things they need to find out, Kirsty.
OK, well, let's head across to Tokyo. The last time the All Blacks made a trip to Tokyo to take on Japan back in 2022.
It all starts at the National Stadium in Tokyo as the All Blacks face Japan. And he passes it up. Brody Retallick will score the opening try. Lovely ball away to Sevu Reece. But now the ball's loose. It's been towed ahead by Yamasawa. And he's in. Caleb Clark, so hard to stop. Kicks charge. Oh, beautifully done by Durns. And the big man strides away for the try. The All Blacks do enough, but no more than that.
Yeah, the All Blacks just did enough. They were pushed so hard by Japan the last time they met. That was 2022 in Tokyo. And there were a couple of Kiwi masterminds in charge that day, Jamie Joseph and Tony Brown, who joins us now live, of course, Springboks assistant coach, and a tent in Dunedin supporting your great friend Tony. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. You were close that day 2 years ago. How close are Japan from beating the All Blacks for the first time, do you think?
Oh, yeah, tough question. Obviously, we had the ball with, we were 5 points behind, time up on the clock, so we had the chance that day, but wasn't to be. I know that if the temperatures are high in Japan and they can play an expansive game, and the All Blacks let them play an expansive game, they potentially might, have another opportunity to knock them over.
Brownie, you've coached in New Zealand, you've coached in Japan, now you're coaching South Africa. What is different, for your opinion, on those three nations from a coaching point of view?
It's obviously Japan play the game so fast, and they rely a lot on speed and skill and agility. And obviously South Africans like the physical side of the game. And like to be really good at set piece, and they've got a very good defensive team. And then the All Blacks are probably a little bit of a mix of both. So the New Zealand teams try and play the physical game, but also try and move the ball and play with a lot of skill. So it's been an interesting ride so far for me, and it's always exciting to go into big test matches and prepare a rugby team to try and win those.
Brownie, you've been there a few months now, but you had experience in Super Rugby down with the Stormers in Cape Town. But what's it been like? I've struggled to get used to seeing you in the Springbok jersey. That's hard work. But ultimately, what have you found since you've been there coaching this team?
Just the amount of talent that they have. Probably untapped talent as well. I think they've, over the last two World Cups, they've been a real physical side. They've been relying a lot on their defensive game and their ability to physically grind a team down. So now that we want to try and get a bit more expansive with our attacking game, I've found that the talent is definitely there, and it's untapped, and the potential where we can go is, it could be huge.
Brownie, I want to sort of go on the back end of that. I mean, my observations over the years, particularly when you're in the All Blacks, is you cast a keen eye on South Africa on the end-of-year tour. And often you sort of sense the fact that they're not too bothered about the results. They might not win a game here, but there's always a bigger picture in mind. Given what you've just sort of said, is this a rebuilding phase then? You're looking at some of those new guys that have been untapped. Are you prepared to risk a few sort of losses? And is the expectation that of South Africans back home, now that you are world champions, number one in the world, and certainly beaten the All Blacks the last couple of times?
Yeah, well, I always think Rusty has 4-year plan around getting ready for the World Cup. But I think like any nation, no one wants to lose test matches. So, I don't think we want to sacrifice any games, but we definitely want to try a few different things and try different players, try and build the squad. So we've got a number of different guys in different positions that can play the best teams in the world. So that's definitely been a massive focus. But I'm a competitive guy, and Springboks are one of the best teams in the world, and they definitely don't want to lose a test match by, throwing someone in there that they don't believe can play at that level.
Tony, you just mentioned Rassie Erasmus. Is he crazy? Is he a genius? What is he actually like as a coach? And has he given you free rein to unleash that untapped talent?
I just think he's the exceptional coach. The players love the way that he coaches them. He's so honest when he speaks to the players, and he gets the best out of the players. And, I think all the best coaches in the world have the ability to get, the potential out of a team, and Rassie is no different. And the players love playing for him.
Brown, excuse my ignorance. Can you explain in your words what untapped is?
What was that?
Can you explain in your words what untapped is?
Untapped.
Yeah.
For me, it's when the South Africans play a game that's probably more defence dominated and set piece dominated. When we're going to try and push the game to an attack style, we're not quite sure how far we can push them. So, I think untapped for me means you never know how good we can be if we get that mindset around attacking and playing an expansive game of footy.
Brownie, we talked during the week, I had a chance to talk about the depth you've talked about already, but we're in this situation where we're wondering about what we're going to do with our national provincial championship, where Super Rugby fits. What is it that South Africa are doing so very, very well? You mentioned to me the Varsity Cup, which is a university competition, as being critical. What is it that it does that helps them prepare to go to the next level?
Yeah, I just think that from talking to the players that play in the Varsity Cup, it's, that everyone's really proud to win that competition, to compete in that competition. All the players talk about it with such high regard, and it's a massive part of the development of the players, I believe. Just that real competitive edge and a quality competition that gets televised all over South Africa, and is all the players is amazing to be part of.
Brownie, for me, it's just been announced that the All Blacks are going to return to South Africa on a tour in 2026. That's been talked about. That's so exciting for everyone in terms of the game. But if you think about where the All Blacks are at right now, you've coached against them now and coached on a number of occasions. We're going to an end-of-year tour, which is not easy. Where do you see the All Blacks being right now in 2024?
Yeah, I think they made some good strides right through the Rugby Championship. I think England pushed them pretty close at the start of the year. It was a competitive series with them, but I think they developed their game, and they used a few different players and brought in a couple of new players. So I think for me, it's going to be a massive test over the next 5 test matches on the end of year tour of where they're actually at. I think they're trending in, pretty good space. I think the players are starting to understand what the coaches want them to do. And I think the coaches are starting to find their groove around how to coach the players as well. So it's going to be amazing to watch them over the next sort of 5 test matches to see where they can get to. It's a massive challenge, but I think they'll be up for all of those test matches, and every rugby player wants to play in those big games, and I think the All Blacks will be excited about what's coming up.
Brownie, what exactly are you doing on a deck chair in a tent in a sweatshirt? Can you actually tell us what you're doing?
I'm actually in Odu Matata. I've got a friend who's running in the World Backyard Ultra event. So it's going to run for sort of hopefully about 3 or 4 days. And I've just he runs 6.7K on the hour, every hour, until he can't get back onto the start line. So I just help him in his transition. It's probably about a 10-minute transition. Give him some food, give him some water, give him some drugs and things like that to keep him going. A bit of caffeine, some no dose, all the good stuff that hopefully gets him around another lap. And there's 15 athletes who are competing for New Zealand in the World Ultra, which is on right as we speak. And probably I think there are 18 hours in, so still sort of 2 or 3 more days to go.
Unbelievable. It makes me tired thinking about it, but you are the ultimate support person, and as a competitor, surely you're going to sign up for it next year.
My body can't handle that. You need to be a little bit crazy.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. All the best on the end of your tour with the Springboks.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Well, I'm pretty sure Tony Brown has just scared the living daylight out of New Zealanders. He talked about untapped potential. They have always been a defence-orientated side. Imagine if they can actually tap into the attack and play both sides of the ball, JK. They've just won back-to-back World Cups and they still haven't peaked yet.
Yeah, well, sign that man. Just break
not
out
with
of
the
his
All
contract
Blacks?
and get him back in New Zealand somehow with Jamie. I don't know, just get them back. That really scares me, because the interesting thing for me, Mills, when I talked about untapped, the reason I asked them that was, in my head, you have all this talented players, you have all these guys, but they're just not ready. What he's saying, Goldie, is no, we're ready. We just need to take our game to the next level. And he's one of the best. That's. I don't like that OP being over there. Get him back.
You remember when I said that the Springboks couldn't play any better and got myself in a little bit of trouble last year after the game? And
have you changed your mind?
I haven't changed my mind, but what I have recognised is the fact that clearly they're doing something right. If he can go over there and see the depth of talent, we've seen a taste of it where they have rotated players through the Rugby Championship and they've taken some hits because of it. But ultimately, Mills, you're starting to get a sense that they are prepared to play. And they made some mistakes against the All Blacks in South Africa this year when they tried to push the passes a little bit more. It was the first time maybe they've been put under a real pressure. Australia didn't quite put them under that heat. We did, and they made errors, but I think there was an intent. And if you start there and it starts to filter down that intent at the levels below, I'm not concerned. It means we have to be on top of our game. We have to get things right. And you have to start asking the questions whether or not we're doing the things to prepare players.
I'm going to make a statement. We will lose and continue to lose unless we get our competitions right. South Africa, we all thought, they're going to leave and go north, right? And it's going to hinder them. Yeah. They have their competitions right. And we're going to talk about that later on in the show. But if we do not get our competitions right, because all we hear is NPC's not fit for purpose, you know, our school game now is not on TV, all this sort of stuff. We need to get this right, because they've got it right. That's how you prepare these guys for the next level, and all you have to do is coach them to that next level.
Yeah, they've forecasted, haven't they? And they've done some... I mean, you're seeing the fruits of it now in terms of the international game. But underneath it, you know, their development and what they've sort of gone through. He's talked about the varsity sort of stuff and the guys sort of coming through. But even you look at the South Africans and, you know, and the amount of, you know, development that come through, the talent, you know, the black and the coloured guys, you know, they're not, I don't even think there's a law there now where they have to, because those guys warrant it. But the ability now to have those, you know, big players and then mix it up with, you know, some explosiveness, that's exciting. I don't see it as a threat. I think this is exciting. I'm actually quite excited for South African rugby, but also it gives us an opportunity to go, hey, look, these guys have gone out and done their thing by themselves. We've got to do something about our game, and it's broken.
Back-to-back World Cups and still not at their peak just yet.
Don't keep saying that out loud.
But it's true.
No, it's true.
It is just
but
the reality of the
constantly.
situation right now.
We nearly had them in the championship, Kirst.
But we
lucky.
But we didn't.
They're going to love this. They're going to love this. Look, on the end of your tour, International Rugby is trialling some new laws. They are the same rules that were trialled in Super Rugby. So here they are. 20-minute red card replacement. There will be scrum and line-out clocks. So 45 seconds for a line-out, 30 seconds for a scrum. Referees will go on microphone at points, so you will be able to hear them across the TV, and they will be able to explain their decision to fans watching. And the instrumented mouth guards will continue as well. This will provide information in terms of knocks that players are getting during the game for HIA and concussion purposes. But we need to talk about one in particular, because it has really set tongues wagging this week. The 20-minute red card replacement. A lot of people overseas, JK, have been saying this rule favours the All Blacks.
That is absolutely ridiculous. What really annoys me is I don't know what they're doing, because France came out, I think Ireland came out. I mean, don't you send someone to World Rugby that votes for you? And to come out and say that the modern rugby player is going to go out and punch someone or kick someone is absolutely ridiculous. And if they do that, the ref has the right. The 20-minute red card is for the public, people. Those that paid $400 to go to the World Cup final, and then Sam Cane's sitting in the stand. It's about the people that go and watch the game. Now, you can't go back on anyway, right? So I just can't believe they came out. And the scrum and line-out clocks was fantastic, but I want to see a shot clock. Maybe not music for the NBA, because then,
Look,
you know...
all of these things make sense, right? We all feel as though it's taking the game forward. We've seen in our own competition here, if you talk about the NPC, for example, the Bunnings NPC, some of the halves are going 41 and a half minutes, 42. So it starts 42 minutes later, the game is being played. And you watch, there was an intent. Now taking that to the international game, there'll be some sides who will have to adapt, might have to change their urgency. The fact they might be able to put less detail when you're talking about preparing for a line-out and assessing what the opposition does. You might see some turnovers as a result of that, because teams get under pressure. Turnovers create what? A little bit of chaos. And a little bit of chaos means people think that the All Blacks will benefit, because that's when we play better. So they're thinking conditioning, all those things might advantage us. But to our point, we're still trying to create this game which is of more appeal.
But this is what annoys me,
public.
We need to put the game first. It's like the competition.
I think they have here.
They have.
Finally.
This is amazing.
Finally.
This is amazing. It's people of our game that come out and say, oh, no, players are going to get more aggressive. I mean, the French come out and said, oh, people are going to be more aggressive and get away with it. But that's ridiculous. Our game needs to be sped up. And our game needs to be more about the people that are paying to go and watch.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it's great that cause a bit of chaos and fatigue, bring some fatigue into the game. The red card thing had to happen a long time ago, so straightforward.
OK, well, strap yourselves in, because these three are going to spill the tea on end-of-year tour tales a little bit later on in the program. But we chat the NPC Finals next, and we've got another exclusive mic'd up with Duplessis Kirifi, who had a massive game for Wellington yesterday.
First question, boys. Who is Bateman and who is Rodden?
I'm Bateman. He's Rodden. We'll leave it to the people, really.
I look like Batman.
The Batman isn't brown. Batman isn't brown.
But he's the Dark Knight.
I was like, dude, you can't be claiming Bateman if you don't know how to...
And that was the main thing. And we're not really forcing anything. We're just sort of having this little thing on the side while we play rugby, which is, we want to keep the main thing, but just getting away from the stresses of the world.
Just getting away from the stresses of the world. Sounds a little bit like surfing, JK. I bet, though, the three of you just don't have the patience for fishing. Do you?
I don't bait my own hooks. Get my hands dirty.
And you don't fillet the fish. No. Then I don't like the ocean. So, anyway.
So, you're
I love
out.
that.
You love it?
I mean...
Well, you like eating it, do you?
I do like eating it. I do go for a bit of a dive every now and then.
Oh, there you go.
Only down in Bluffstone.
Do you tours, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are just
They're all
between the
keepers,
toes,
eh?
though,
I get
JK.
They're all keepers, eh?
Yeah.
They're all keepers, that whole...
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Those two are absolutely brilliant, and they've been a massive part of the engine room for Bay of Plenty this year. Look, it is written in the stars this year. Bay of Plenty have never made an NPC final. They won the first title 48 years ago, and that was the last time they have been in the running. And their flair and entertainment, you've been there, you've seen them firsthand for the last couple of weeks, Mills. When they turn it on, it is so good to watch.
Yeah, really good. I mean, even yesterday, they came out and sort of, that 20 minutes just after the break sort of blitzed, Canterbury apart. Those were really defining moments, Salaholo and also Moninarawa. But they got a really nice balance. They were missing Sangster yesterday. I thought that might have been a big factor, but it wasn't. That 20 minutes out of the half was extraordinary. And you've got to think, the week before, the score in that last sort of 30-odd seconds from a driving maul, I mean, that's just character. They're building something pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they go fishing this week, those two guys, because they are influential in that side.
Yeah.
Both Eklund and Akoi, I thought, were outstanding. And they seem to be guys that bring something different. But I just loved the way that their backs started playing, especially Cashmore when he came on. The timing into the back line. They had that, like you said, Mills, that beautiful sort of 15 minutes.
Fortune favours the brave, and Canterbury weren't brave enough. The fact the week before they played some outstanding rugby, kept the ball alive, they attacked from depth, they got really narrow in this game, and the moment Bay of Plenty took the game by the scruff of the neck and all of a sudden started to attack. And you mentioned the Cashmore break. They had some nice little deceptions. They were just that little bit further out. They held some defenders. They used the ball. When you do play like this, so this is 40 metres out. Yep, you get a little momentum going forward, but they had a plan. Mills, they were trying to bring someone out of the defensive line, and then they had guys in good space. There's a nice transfer here. They accelerate onto the ball, good support, and they finish it nicely. Now, Canterbury did that last week against Tasman, and it was dominant. In this game, they didn't try and play. Now, when you're away from home, you've got to go out and play. Go out and win this game. I think this game was in the balance in half-time. One team came out in the second half and they were creative, they kept the ball alive and they scored 2 or 3 tries from distance. And to me, they deserve to be in the final.
100%. And I think Canterbury, because they've gotten to finals so many times, I think they fell into the trap of, hey, we're playing finals football. Let's try and grind them down. And this is what you got to compliment Bay of Plenty, because Richard Watt, Watty and his team, they came out and changed. We've got to attack them. We can't be forced into it, because for a moment there they were.
Can I ask you this question then? Can I ask this question? The NPC is not the normal type of finals footy that we've seen in Super Rugby and wet conditions and on top of the ground in the afternoon. And like you've seen the teams that have been successful, and Wellington were very much the same. Creativity. Waikato had some success, scored a wonderful chip and chase try, and there was something a little bit random about it. There are opportunities in this level. Defences aren't as strong, and so if you're prepared to use your skills, you'll be successful.
Breathe, John, breathe.
No.
I think what Mills said is really intriguing for me, because Bay of Plenty have played that style all year. So does the pressure of a semi-final then turn you into your shell? Now, if you want to play Canterbury in that game, they will beat you, and they were beating them.
Yeah.
Right. Trask missed a few kicks in the first half, but then in the second half they thought, let's just play how we've been playing all year. But that gets harder as the prize goes up.
Yeah.
Right, because it becomes more difficult to express yourselves and there's more to play for.
Trust. That's what's got you there. That is your competitive advantage. That's what you've done all year. And the moment you go away from that, you're inviting other teams into your wheelhouse. And the fact that they showed some balance, and their resilience the week before against Hawke's Bay, remarkable.
And you've still got to execute, right?
Yep.
I mean, that try that we've just seen on there, you've still got to go and execute that. But what it did, when it paid off, it then boosted their morale a bit more to go, hey, you know what? With this plan that we actually said at half-time that we're going to go out and do and execute again and again, we're now going to put it back on Canterbury. And you're right. I think to your point, in this level at NPC, you're not trying to squeeze teams down to sort of go for goals. And then both sides missed goals, right? And that was, they played.
It's mental. That's all I'm saying. It's mental. The prize gets bigger, and naturally humans go, ooh.
We've got to get out of that habit. We've got to get away from that. We've got to show courage at all levels.
But does that then set you up for Super Rugby or Test Rugby?
Well, is that our competitive advantage?
Well, I tell you what, if you thought there were plenty of personality in Bay of Plenty, there is a live wire in Wellington. We put a microphone on Duplessis Kirifi in the semi-finals against Waikato.
What are the comms? Bring our feet up. What about his hinge? Okay. Hit. Whatever way they go, he's going to be on the hip. He's going to be on the hip. 0-1. His next 3 minutes are championship minutes. Okay? Go! Yeah, on the Chromecast run.
Snapped up by Lawaki. And the prop forward scores. Wellington turned it off to Preston. And he's done it again, Kyle Preston. A try-scoring halfback.
Out of nowhere as well. So both sides couldn't hear you. Even they're saying that. So I didn't hear that.
Driving hard, getting close, and scores the try. Referee's having a look, and he awards it.
Easy, boys. Another one, and the ball, and the clear. Absolutely, legend. You deserve it, bro, next week. Well done, boys. Good luck, eh? Bro, what an absolute pleasure to play in a game like that. Well done, boys. You don't put a game out there like that off the back of no hard work, eh? We earned the right, we come out here. We problem solved along the way and we got the job done. Second thing from me, boys, is Bro, it's not often you're going to be a part of games with that intensity. So whether we win or lose, games like that is the whole reason we play rugby. And to win, what an absolute pleasure. Hey, what an absolute pleasure to win with you boys. One to get, eh? One game to get.
Wellington, they have well and truly set the benchmark all year, finishing top of the table, getting home field advantage all the way through the playoffs. And that guy right there, who brings the fizz, brings the energy. He made tackles, turnovers. He had 3 or 4 seriously influential moments in the last 20 minutes of that match to get Wellington across the line. JK, should this guy have been an All Black, do you think?
Well, I was thinking about that. You know, why isn't he there? And he must be on the fringe. He was there in 2019. But I think you expect your players and your captains to come and get those big plays, Mills. And that game was incredibly in the balance. I thought Cruden was really good, but the 2 particular turnovers and the aggressiveness that, you know, that Kirifi showed in that game was great. And those 2 turnovers changed the game, changed the flow.
I'll give you 2 reasons. Sam Cade and Adi Sevilla. That's why he's not an All Black. Dalton Papali'i. I mean, that's why he's not an All Black. He's a open side flanker who has grown his game in the last couple of years. He's in the All Blacks 15 for a reason, because he is a consistent performer now at those levels. But there are other guys ahead of him who are just that little bit better, and in some cases vastly experienced. So when his time comes, when Sam Cane heads offshore and Adi Sevilla it moves on, he's still a young man, Duplessis Kirifi, his opportunity may come. But at the moment, when you can only play one position, you have to be the very best at that position to find a way in.
Lakai jumps him because he plays one position, because he plays more than one position.
Plays more than one
so
position.
The reason why Kirifi doesn't make it, Mills, is because he is just a 7?
Yeah, well, I think when you put him in there, I mean, you know, Lakai comes in there and he can cover all positions. I mean, you've got to look at the All Blacks, right? I mean, in order to really crack in there, they've rested those guys that you've just actually spoken about. But he's quality. But it also illustrates the fact that Super Rugby guys in NPC have to get to that level, and that should be week in, week out for all of them.
Is he the next open side available to the All Blacks? Because Scott Robertson has already said if one of those 3 guys gets ruled out, they will bring an extra person in. Who is it? Is it him?
Yes.
It's him. He will be called up to the All Blacks if, for some reason, Papali'i, Blackadder or Jacobson is ruled out.
Yes.
There you go.
Your response to that?
Well, it depends where they see Adi Sevilla. It depends where they want to play him at 7.
We've got to stop talking about Adi as a 7, please. Well, because he hasn't played there for how long?
Well, when we start talking about a loose forward trio, and it certainly got complicated now because the guys we've lost, they just fill so many spots, you know. And it comes down to me, what does the Semi-Penny Final show us? What does he show us?
It's his time now to show us, right?
Yeah, he has to show us.
It's a perfect opportunity for Semi-Penny.
We're talking about 7, though, right?
Yeah, but
I think the role of 7 has changed.
Yeah, it has changed, and loose forwards have changed, and their versatility and what they can do. And we've seen Satiti wearing the 6 jersey, but with a real 8 skill set. But I look at this and I go, there's no doubt he's got to be in the conversation. But once again, if he's not going to be a starter, does he come in if he can't fill and cover positions when you've got guys who can? But if we lost someone, you'd have to say with what we've got out, he has to be very close.
OK, well, let's talk about that final then. Is it the year of the Lion 2024, Mills?
I think it's going to be a good final. I think Bay of Plenty have got the team to go down there and play and win. But on the back end of that, if Kirifi plays another game like he did in the weekend, they're going to take some stopping that one. And the home crowd. I mean, Sky Stadium. So to answer your question, I think Bay of Plenty can do it.
So you think Bay of Plenty?
I think they can.
Bay of Plenty go down there and upset them?
To be able to do it.
I'd go up to Paraparaumu and play.
Why is that, JK?
Because Wellington people need to turn up. They need to fill the stadium.
They've been playing Porirua, but they're going to be at Sky Stadium, and that's fine. It's just up for the fans now to turn up because they've got a final. You've got an opportunity to watch 2 teams who are going to play, I believe, entertaining rugby. But I mean, I just want to quickly go on a point that Tony Brown talked about, is the fact that this level, this NPC, right? I'm not sure how much longer this is going to survive in its current form and what it's going to be and whether or not it's developing the players. This year's competition has been incredibly even. Like on any weekly, but you know, every week there's been an upset somewhere. You know, I mean, you've seen some outstanding rugby. In regards to development, I'm not sure. It's getting our guys close enough and ready for Super Rugby.
Okay, well, these guys have put the challenge out there. Go and fill Sky Stadium in Wellington this weekend for the NPC Final. It does not get bigger than this. Go and get your mobile phone out, scan the QR code right now to see Wellington against Bay of Plenty. Adults tickets are $25, students over 16 are 15, and get this, kids under 15 are free with a paying adult. So go and support these two teams, because as you said, Jeff, this is going to be an exceptional final with two teams that actually want to play.
There's no reason, if you're a rugby fan, there's no reason not to go.
Yeah.
Take your family, you just go and enjoy what's going to be a great contest.
And here it is, we will be live on Sky previewing this, pumping up the final from 2:30 this coming Saturday as we lead into the All Blacks test against Japan as well. So you've got your afternoon absolutely sorted. Well, you know that old saying, what goes on tour stays on tour? Used to be like that, but not next. We've got tour tales coming up for you on The Breakdown.
Anything Mariah Carey is going good. Bruno Mars actually hits pretty hard, and it's my go-to. I mean,
welcome back. We've all been there. I've seen Mills singing Hungry Eyes in a duet. JK, what was your
Hungry Eyes?
I was hungry. It was late.
No, my advice if you're going to Japan is you need a song. So practice before you go.
What was your track, JK?
I never practice, that's my trouble. I just go with whatever. Yeah, and I'll normally do something like, I hadn't even heard of half those artists that they were talking about, that Rico was talking about. You know, I'll go back, some stuff that, you know, that everyone sings along.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so the whole place goes nuts.
You don't want to go Mariah Carey, because she sings high notes. It's really, really hard to sing. It's like singing Whitney Houston or something. But we're going to talk tour tales now. I'm sorry that you're going to have to spill your deep, dark secrets, but JK, you invented the terminology food bill. Tell us what that actually means.
Yeah, I think Rob Brooke took over from me. So a food bill means you get injured on tour and you don't play again, so you are just a food bill. So unfortunately, this pass here from Bullo, I snapped my Achilles. The trouble there, see how I leapt off one foot and then I tried to land on the other foot and avoid that guy that smacked me. It just went bang. I thought I'd been shot. But the lucky thing was the doctor, he was an Achilles specialist, so I got operated 2 hours later, which was really good. Wow. Yeah.
And you could have gone home, but you...
You stayed on tour.
So hold on. So you stayed on tour and
yeah.
Well,
Ginge, Paul Henderson was food bill number 2. Oh. So he was a little bit like Dalton Papali and these guys that are injured. So they're a food bill, but they could come back. So I was not coming.
There was a hint or a discussion that it was time. Maybe he should go home. He managed to make Thursday training. And then he never got to the start line on the Saturday. And he said, no, I'll probably be right for the next midweek game. Tuesday, oh, no, she's just tightened up again. And got to a point where there's only 2 weeks to go on the tour. And Laurie's, well, you'll be in here the whole time. You might as well just stay, you know. So you've always got one, right? Everyone's got.
Were you ever a food bill, Mills?
No, not on tour. I don't think it was. But the thing is, these days, it's so important that you get a bit of balance, right? And you get a bit of balance away from the team environment. You think you get 36 guys and all you're seeing them for the next 5 or 6 weeks. And some of those roomies that you have.
The balance is
fair to say, Mills, before your time.
I know.
Way too much balance the other way.
Right, when you arrived.
Yeah.
When you arrived.
No, it was. I mean, this is not good, and our society needs to change. But
and what has changed?
We would fly like all around the world in economy. Like you might turn up in France after 46 hours of touring, and it'd be bags down and go and have a drink. You get straight on it, and then you get up the next morning and train really hard. And I remember Joe Stanley.
That was the answer to jet lag for a long time, eh?
So we'd arrived in France, and we get the alarm goes off like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. So Joe Stanley had come out with us. He'd gone home. He ran a bath to soak his body, rang his kids, and fell asleep. And he flooded the whole hotel. Oh. So the alarm went off at 6 a.m. and we're all evacuated. And so, you know, things like that used to happen a wee bit. Yeah.
I'm glad you're outing your teammates, JK. It's perfect. Have you got any more people to out?
Look, not to out people, but that's how things have changed, Mills. I mean, even my first tour, like there was a lot of things that opened my eyes to, okay, what's it like? I was on the other side of the world for the very first time. But I mean, even when the buffet, and it'll get you on your first tour, right? Because I've never seen food like it, you know. And I remember, you know, end of 1995 in France, we'd lost to France in the first Test match. And midweek, Laurie wasn't happy, and he comes up to breakfast, and Jonah's just downed about 15 hard, like boiled eggs we never saw eggs again for the whole tour. Like, he just literally ruled them out.
What's wrong with eggs?
Well, we didn't play well, and he just looked at Jonah and said, they're gone. Everyone suffered because of it. But Jonah could consume a massive amount of everything at any time, to be honest.
Sir Brian Lahore banned afternoon naps. And I just got back from Italy. I was loving it. But he reckons that, you know, because we were afternoon napping, but the games were at 2:30. Now you nap. So all those things have really changed. So it's way harder for them now. Like, you know, the diets are controlled. They get weighed all the time. So
and you get a day off. And the scrutiny on performance is probably... Yeah, I mean, it's heightened, you know, it's massive, but you still got to try and find that balance. And the stuff that you're talking about is probably more down the last game of the tour, really, when guys get to sort of let their hair down in some stages.
What did you like to do on your day off?
Well, I'd always talked about going and sort of jumping on the train and going somewhere and visiting some friends, but I was actually quite scared because, you know, we're used to sort of seeing the guy in the same uniform and just following them, so I didn't know what to do. So. There was a couple of times there was a casino next door. I'd just go and pretend I knew what I was doing, just sort of buy a bit of time. But I used the $50 that we got for lunch, OK? So if you doubled that, maybe that's £100.
Now you're in the mortgage game. Now you're in the mortgage game. Look, that's perfect. Hey, obviously you're very good at it.
Use someone else's money. Hey, there you go.
Well, just quickly, back in our day, we used to have dirty duties. So I was talking to Carmo Jones the other day. Like in '89, he had to go outside the stadium and sell our tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're only getting £15 a day. We made £3,000 on that tour by selling the tickets.
The envelope at the end of the tour?
Totally.
Oh.
We need more time. We need more time to talk about these tour stories. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing them. And we've got a book to give away. Remember Game Changers? It's the segment we have been doing over the last couple of months here on The Breakdown. It has been turned into a book. You can buy it in all good bookstores. We were giving it away last week when we asked you the question, Richie McCaw's first Test opponent as All Blacks captain was against who? Many of you said Ireland in 2006. That's when he officially took over, but these 4 people got the answer right. It was Wales in 2004 when he was filling in for Tana Umaga. So congratulations to Ravi, Marissa, Kirsten and to Sandra. We will send those books out to you. Thank you for joining us. You're going overseas. Travel safe. We'll be catching up with you while you're on the road. All Blacks against Japan and the NPC Finals coming up next week.
Konnichiwa, a very warm welcome to the land of the rising sun, Japan.
As the world's most successful international rugby team kicks off against an England side rejuvenated under their coach, Steve Borthwick. And that's the game! Look out, New Zealand, the Irish are coming. The All Blacks and France have developed a rich and colourful history. That rivalry resumes here in Paris this evening as the All Blacks tour of the North continues. He sees a little gap, Richie Moore